welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by Johnny Paulus. Johnny, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to the world of the living here.
Yeah, buddy.
Had a tiring week, have you? A little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year when everybody's going on vacation, so we've been a little short-staffed at the office, and I'm the kind of guy that will just happily put on the multiple hats and keep the train on the tracks. But I, after doing work today, and then we had a little family reunion, and I probably had one too many smoked pork ribs, and then I went home. And my wife and my youngest were playing Minecraft, and I'm sitting there on the couch passing out, and I was like, how about you guys wake me up when you're done playing Minecraft? I'll see you guys in a few hours. And I went and laid down, and I'm really glad that I did. But no, it's just been a hectic week, that's all. Did you notice I now have a flamenco Deadpool on my microphone?
I didn't notice
He has his little Deadpool maracas.
Now I can see it.
And his little hat. He's pretty awesome.
Did you notice that I'm not wearing the same shirt I've worn in our other two videos?
I didn't even notice you wore the same shirt twice. That's funny.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, you can, of course, now, as many of you have, good job, everyone, but you can find us over on YouTube now. YouTube. You can see our faces, for better or worse, in Johnny's cat, who's sitting behind him right now. That is at youtube.com/PowerGamerPodcast. Couldn't be easier to find us over there. Some of you that we just don't know personally, that just listen to us out there in the ether, one of the thousands of you that have, it was nice to see a comment of, hey, I've listened to your show for a while now and glad you're on YouTube. So thanks for that.
Sweet.
We appreciate that. And I guess, Johnny, you've got a TikTok started now for the podcast?
Yep.
So I haven't really had a chance to look at it, but I guess Johnny will be posting videos over there as well. And, something I used to do a lot on YouTube, I used to post a lot of game review videos. So I've been thinking, now that I've kind of got my video editing mojo back.
Yeah.
I might start posting some video reviews and things like that on our channel. So folks, if you would like that, please let me know in the comments. We have a comment section now. Didn't have that on Spotify.
Yeah.
So over here on YouTube, yeah, if you be interested in that sort of thing, give me a shout. And also, you can let me know if there's any games I need to review, as I'm working through quite a bit right now. Holy shit. I guess we'll just get into it here. So welcome on in, everyone. This is episode 75 of the Power Gamer Podcast. And we're going to start off this week, as we always do, by discussing first what we've been playing this week. I'll get started this week. My list is pretty long. So let's get into it. I did finally roll credits on Octopath Traveler, which I've been talking about for about the past month. I was interested, delighted, I don't know, kind of confused, miffed, that you get credits rolling just for completing. So like, let me back up for a second. Of the 8 characters in the Octopath, you have to select one of them, and they're kind of like your main character in the game. Once you finish their plot line, the game says, congratulations, you've done it. Here's the credits. And afterwards, you can go back in and finish up everybody's thing. But it is kind of a nice feeling to go, oh, yeah, this one person who's been stuck in my party the whole time because you can't remove them. I've seen their story through. And kind of naturally, just as making that decision, that person is the one that you're the most connected with in the game. So for me, that was Hunnet, the Huntress.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, she just seemed like a good, solid, all-around DPS character to pick. So
yeah, I liked her a lot.
Let's go with her. Was totally the wrong decision. Like, she was somebody I wish I could have flexed out. Olberic, I think, would have been the best choice as a character to be committed to in that game. because you absolutely need his tanking skills at all times. And he's really the only person who can do that until you find the Shrine of the Warrior, and you can teach a secondary job to someone else. But Ulbricht's still better because he does the jump in front of a bullet thing for you that the other characters don't do. So I basically found the OP stompity stomp build in that game is to have a dancer and an apothecary in your party. And what you do is, instead of running a cleric, you just don't waste that space on a cleric. And you do the 4-star ability with the dancer. And that makes it, and you always use it on your apothecary. It makes his abilities affect everyone. So then you can use his first aid for like 4 mana to get full heals on the entire party. And then you can use his rehabilitate to make everyone in your party immune to any CC or status effect.
Wow.
And then he also has the like full health revive, so you can bring back the entire party if they go down. So the two of them together, add a tank, add a scholar or a huntress, and you are just fucking unstoppable in this game.
It's the best when you like crack the system in a JRPG.
I mean, what I just described is completely fucking broke.
Yeah.
And until you get those like end abilities unlocked with the dancer and the apothecary, they kind of seem like throwaway classes, but then they turn out to be the most popular. So,
quick question on that. So when you beat it with your main character, it rolls credits, and then you can carry on. Can you now take her out of your party?
Yes. Once you've completed their thing, then you can remove them and run any 4 characters that you want. So
that's
pretty cool.
Okay. Awesome.
Next up, I talked a little bit about this game called Formula Bit Racing. I was like 50% completed. It's a racing game on the Switch that was very RC Pro-Am like. I don't have anything new to say about it. It's a good game. You can still buy it for like $3 on your Switch, and I 100%ed it. And so that is done. Finished with Formula Bit Racing DX. It's pretty good. So if you liked RC Pro-Am, pick this game up. It doesn't take a long time to beat, and it's hard. So when you put it on the hard difficulty, it is challenging. The next game that I played and completed is one of my favorite games I've ever played and completed. And that game is called Yes, Your Grace. Now you can get this game. I think it might still be on sale on Switch. I think I grabbed it for like $3. It's been out since 2020. It's on most platforms. So like if you want to play it on Steam or PlayStation or Xbox, wherever you can.
I thought it was on Game Pass.
I think it might be on Game Pass, but if it is, that's a slam dunk. Octopath Traveler's on Game Pass, by the way. So for anyone listening that wants to play that, you can do that there. I played it on the Switch because games like that just, I don't know, it has to be on the Switch. But Yes, Your Grace is also a very Switch-like game to me, although you can play it again anywhere. It is a really, really cool retro bit kind of style pixel art graphic-y game where you play as King Eric. And it's one part like a very cool story and another part kingdom management. Basically, he's made a commitment with a barbarian tribe to marry off one of his daughters. So he kind of writes them off and doesn't think much about it. And then they pop back up 13 years later and say, we're coming. And we've got a big fucking army. And Eric has like an army of 100 people. He's got a very small army. So you're working in the game to build an army, build resources, all the while you're having to take care of the people in your kingdom and make them happy, while managing very tight resources. It's a really, really cool game that I don't think I can sell with words. Took 6, 7, 8 hours, something like that, to complete it. It's a short game, but it's just really, really good, and the writing in it is fantastic. So it's definitely worth playing. So I picked up and beat because I just couldn't stop playing it. Yes, Your Grace this week. So that rounds out the completed games that I have. So I add 3 more to my list there. For the games that I'm working on, Johnny, you might not know this. I'm obviously a big racing fan. So I did play more Assetto Corsa Competizione this week, which I am pleased to announce they did an update on the game. Now it runs like butter. It looks
Great.
fantastic. So
Good.
But another sport I'm into is tennis. I've always been a big tennis fan. And there was a new tennis game that came out and went up on the old Game Pass service. So I figured, what the hell? Let's check it out. Match Point Tennis Championships. It's kind of janky graphics wise, but the gameplay is buttery smooth. You can customize your own character, but the options are kind of limited. So you're always going to kind of look like some weirdo sim from like 2005. But that all being said, the gameplay is pretty good. So maybe too simple, if that makes sense. You can't really like architect curve on your tennis ball hits, but it's got 4 different strokes that happen from X, A, B, or Y on the Xbox controller. You don't have to like perfectly time your hits like on the old SNES games. You just sort of wind up and move your player in the vicinity, and then a little black dot appears on the other side of the court, and you have a split second to kind of aim where your shot's going. So that's got interesting gameplay mechanics, and it's fun. Definitely not something I would spend actual money on, but for a tennis fan that also has Game Pass, why the hell not? It's got really easy achievements to get, and I don't know. I've been picking it up more often than I thought I would. So, Match Point Tennis Championships. Johnny Paulus's hands down game of the year is going to be Match Point Tennis Championships. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah. You know me in tennis games.
You can't stay away from them.
I can't stop.
A Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. I finally got back into that game a little bit. I'll put another hour into it. I've since added my first party member to it, which makes the game way more enjoyable. Because what ends up happening is it's like a 2D beat 'em up RPG game, but you do combos between all the characters in your party. So before I got my kangaroo pal in the party, I could only hit XX. So my attacking was literally chop, chop, wait, chop, chop. Now I can chop, chop. Big fucking kangaroo comes back in, combo back into chopping. I'm like, oh, okay. And apparently there's like a third guy that's going to come in. So combat's feeling a lot better in a Eiyuden. So I guess you just got to kind of get to that 3-hour-ish mark, and the game opens up a lot.
So what is Eiyuden? I mean, I don't follow like anime at all. Is it like what kind of universe is it?
So like the basic premise for the story is you play as this girl named CJ, and she is a scavenger. So you come to this town. They scavenge for things called lenses. And lenses are more valuable the bigger they are. So she is, as part of her tribe's right, so to speak, you have to go out to become a full-fledged member of the tribe. You have to go out and scavenge a bigger lens than your ancestor did. So that's what she's working on. So she comes to this town where she's going to do some scavenging, and some JRPG things happen. She meets the mayor, and like the town's been fucked up by an earthquake. And you need to get a scavenger's license to go out and start scavenging for lenses. But to get your license, you either have to pay 100,000 currency, which you don't have because the game just started, or you have to get 30 stamps in your stamp book. And you get stamps by completing tasks for the town members. See where this is going.
Yes.
So yeah, and it's a 2D game. So it's a little bit of a Metroidvania once you get into the individual levels, which is kind of cool, but just on a much smaller scale. And there's a town hub, very a la any JRPG ever, but you just kind of walk through it on a 2D plane, maybe a la Link's Adventure on NES. So it's a cool game. I'm definitely enjoying it, and the art style is great. The performance of the game is sick. This is actually the second game in the series, but it's a prequel to the first one, if that makes sense. So you don't need to hold off on playing it if you haven't played the first. My buddy Cul-de-sac Jack 3. It used to just be Cul-de-sac Jack, but he did some dumb shit and fucked up his account and had to remake his account. So now he's had to add a 3 to the end. Sorry about that, bud. But Cul-de-sac Jack 3, who you can find on YouTube and Twitch and things, he played through this game, and he told me it takes about 12-ish hours, something like that, to complete. So it's not some mega long thing, which is unique for a JRPG kind of setting. So
looks fun. I'm watching the trailer. I dig it.
It's really good. Yeah, CJ's a cool character. So moving on from Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, the last thing that I have to talk about, which I haven't had a chance to play a ton of, I've played like 2 hours of it, but is Dead Rising 2, which I'm playing on the PlayStation 5. Main takeaways from the game so far is, so far, so good. It's a Dead Rising game. So you slap shit with melee weapons and do parkour, and but the thing that stands out from it is some of the new combat things are really cool. Like the counter system's really good. The parkour fighting is fucking dope. Where you're like jumping over people and kicking guys in the face and shit. Graphically, what the fuck? This game is insane. Really, I mean, from the first person perspective, this is the best looking game I've seen so far on the PlayStation 5. So, I mean, absolutely murders anything I saw from like Deathloop. Totally poo-poos on it. This game looks fucking sick. And I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, I just recently played the first Dead Rising. Did I switch series? No, okay. I thought I said Dead Island for a second. I just played the first, same publisher. I played the first Dead Rising recently, which I had to play on PC because I couldn't stand the 30 frames per second chugging that I was getting on my PS4. Yeah, on PS5, I mean, this is a freaking dream to play.
Sweet.
So if you were like me and the 30 frames per second was making you violently ill to try and watch, fear not. This game runs what looks to be well above 60 frames per second, honestly. And just looks freaking gorgeous. So I'll have more to say on that because that is now the next big game that I'm working on. So, whew, Johnny, god damn, that takes care of me, man. It's been a big week of gaming. I got 3 completed, so we're rolling right along here, sir. What have you been up to?
I'm still cruising through Red Dead Redemption 2.
You've made a lot of progress in that game, yeah.
I have made a lot of progress. So when everyone tells me, one of the greatest games of all time, game of the year, this, as much as you guys have heard me rave about this game over the last couple weeks, I wasn't there yet. I was enjoying it a lot, but there wasn't a twist.
That setup is long. Yeah, it's a long
The setup is very long. So anybody who fired this game up and played it for 20 hours or 30 hours and went, yeah, okay, I get it. No, you got to keep going because it eventually, everything snowballs into, okay, we got the Pinkertons coming. We got the O'Driscolls coming. We have to do a big ass bank heist and we got to get the fuck out of the country. So they go to do this bank heist and absolutely all fucking hell breaks loose. A major character dies. Another major character is apprehended. And in the attempt to escape, the main group of guys, I believe it was Arthur Morgan, Bill, Dutch, and Escuela, I think, all get on a boat and are going, well, I guess we're going to go to Cuba and we're going to lay low for a little bit. And then we'll come back and we'll get our money and we'll get our crew and we'll get out of here. And there's a giant storm that breaks out and you end up on the shores of an island called Guarma, which is right by Cuba. And it turns into this whole, like, you're in a jungle helping them form a revolution against this tyrant, overlord of the island, and it's like this massive twist I didn't see coming.
I think the game's old enough too. We can talk about this freely, because didn't this come out in like 2018 or something like that?
I think it's 5 years old. Yeah,
yeah, it's on the safe list. So
yeah, but no, I mean the twists and turns have taken me by surprise, and I am fucking infatuated with this game now at this point. How far am I in the game?
Halfway.
I'm at halfway.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Oh, I mean, you haven't. It gets crazy, man.
I mean, crazy. I thought I was at like 70 or 80.
No.
Wow. No, I mean, and I think the main thing that's really impressing me with this, because
I would say the actual bank heist after it, like when you finish that bank heist, that is the 50% mark of the game.
Okay. All right, cool. So one of the things that's really surprised me with this, because I held Red Dead Redemption really, really highly, and I still do. And I think the reason why everyone says this one is clearly better, I don't think it's that the quality of the game is that much further above the original. It's how much more there is to it story-wise. Red Dead Redemption is great, but it feels like a really good movie. Whereas where I'm at now in Red Dead Redemption 2, I feel like I just finished like season 2 of an amazing show. And it's like, it's still going. It's still going. It's so engaging. The consistency is so high. And it just keeps giving me amazing experiences, amazing missions, amazing characters. I think this is the best cast of characters in a video game. Like an ensemble cast, other than maybe Mass Effect. I can't think of any other game that has this many characters that you feel like you know very, very well. Mm-hmm. The good, the bad, the Micahs, the Shawns, the Bills, the Sadie. I mean, it's amazing.
Don't you dare forget game. Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny's And so I'm still, apparently I'm a little bit past the 50% mark, and I'm infatuated with this game. If you want to see me play it, pop by the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/hellhero, H3LL H3RO. Pop in there and say hello. Also, I scooped the Skywalker Saga on a GameFly sale. GameFly was having a big, I think they actually still are. If you're listening to this podcast on a Monday, July, whatever, 18th, 19th, whatever that would be, I think GameFly would still be doing this sale. What GameFly does is, after the really popular titles are not renting as swiftly as they were, they start selling them back. And the thing that's nice is, like, you get a brand new case. It's not a beat up case on eBay that's, got a soda stain on it. Like, they take these brand new games, they take the disc out, they put them in the envelopes, they send them out for rentals, and then when they resell them, it's the brand new case that's never left their hands.
And they probably resurface the disc before they send it to you.
They sure look like it. Yeah, I've bought maybe 3 or 4 games from GameFly used, and every one of them, I look at the underside of the disc and I don't see a single mark.
I would imagine they have one of those nice machines there. Yeah.
But I got an email. It was like, thanks for your. I think I hit the 1 year mark since I re-signed up with them. I think it's been about a year since we talked about it on the podcast and me signing up for GameFly, and they said, hey, here's a $10 off coupon.
Where's our fucking sponsorship, dude?
So it was a $10 off coupon, and then they had the Skywalker Saga PS5 version for, I think it was $32. So $32, $10 off, dude, $23, and me and my kids can play the entire Skywalker Saga. This is clearly the best Lego release ever. Like, just ever. There's so much love in it.
Yeah.
The graphics are great. There's so much to do. There's so many collectibles. I mean, this is, especially if you have kids that are into the Lego games, this is an instant buy. I can tell you right now, a year from now, my kids are still going to be playing this game. There's a lot to do.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that one myself.
I didn't play it a lot. I sat down and I played with it for maybe an hour or two. I was really impressed with the graphics. I was really the most impressed with the sense of humor. The The Lego games are always pretty funny. This one, man, the jokes land. I mean, they're very aware of the zeitgeist of the Star Wars fandom, and there's a lot of little jabs at the ongoing jokes. I mean, just the cover page after you've installed Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, and it's up on your screen to open it, and you see the team there, and there's Rey with her lightsaber and Han Solo with his gun. Chewbacca has his medal on. His medal that he did not receive and should have received at the end of A New Hope. And just even that little wink of like, yeah, Chewie's got his medal is just, it's if you're a Star Wars fan and you go back, there's so many winks to the camera that you'd have a hard time not enjoying yourself. So really happy with my purchase. I'm glad I did it. Didn't get to play it much, but it is cool. And then lastly, I started digging through my new PlayStation Plus Premium subscription and looking at some of these classic titles. And the day that they launched it, I kind of just went on an install spree. I was like, okay, install this, install that, install this, install that. Just picking all the stuff that I might want to pick up and play. And today when I got home from the family reunion, I knew I had the house to myself for about an hour before the wife and kid would be getting home from the reunion. And I fired up Mark of Kree. Have you ever played Mark of Kree, Mike? Do you remember this game on PlayStation 2?
That game came out when I was 19 years old. So what do you know about Mark of Kree, sir? Was this a big one that you played?
Yeah, I loved this game. I absolutely loved this game.
Can you guess the studio that made it based on how an obvious rip it is of a different game?
I don't remember.
So Mark of Kree is a San Diego studio game.
Oh.
If you weren't aware, I mean, that's obviously back in 2005, not something that you're going to be paying attention to, but it's Sony San Diego made Mark of Kree just all the way back then. So I think I think that might have been the first game that they made.
Well, so the thing that's really cool about Mark of Kree, and if you haven't played it and you have the PlayStation Plus Premium and you're looking for some old school games to dip into, Mark of Kree was, I believe, released in 2002, so it's now 20 years old. It was on the PlayStation 2.
That came out when I was 16, sorry.
And it has one of my favorite combat systems ever. Ever. I love the combat system in Mark of Kree. The way that it works, your right thumbstick, instead of controlling the camera, controls what enemy you want to focus on. And so you can you aim your stick at a person, and it will designate them a button. Okay, this guy is X. And then you roll the right stick to the second guy. He's circle. So now I can attack X and do combos with X. And if the guy on circle is getting too close, I can switch to circle, start hitting that button. What's really cool, though, is any of your buttons that are not assigned can be used as modifiers. So say if there's one guy that I really want to beat the shit out of, I can reset my focus on one guy, and now my X is my initiate. All the other buttons are combos. So I can do X, circle, triangle. We'll do some crazy wop, 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 wop. Stab him in the chest, pull the sword out. I'm like, oh, that was a cool combo. Okay, cool. Or if you're fighting a whole bunch of targets, you can just sweep the thumbstick around, focus on 4 enemies, and you now have triangle, circle, square, X to pick which enemy you're fighting. But my favorite thing about Mark of Kree is the art style. It looks and moves like a Disney film. Like straight up. It looks like a Disney film. But it's really bloody. And that's a dynamic that I love. I love. Mark of Kree was one of my favorite titles on PlayStation 2 back in the day. And I'm happy to say that the port worked very well. It unfortunately suffers from something that a lot of the older games suffer from, which is the cinematics are so bad you want to gouge your eyeballs out because of how pixely and low resolution they are. But then as soon as you're actually like in the game, I mean, yeah, the textures are a little blotchy, but otherwise the game runs very well. It's presentable. The animation is still very solid. It's a classic game, and if you haven't played it and you're looking for some of these older PlayStation titles to kind of dip your toes into, Mark of Korea is a strong recommend for me.
Yeah, and they went on to make the best fucking baseball game series of all time. That's what they do now.
That's big facts.
Yeah, MLB The Show is fucking awesome. Well, great. So that wraps up what we have been playing this week. We got a lot to cram in here for the rest of the episode, so let's get to it, sir.
Let's do it.
The first thing I want to talk about is a game company that I care about quite a lot, and that is Supermassive Games. I have been well chronicled here on the show of playing damn well near everything that they release. I'm a big fan of the Dark Pictures anthology. I've played all of those games, as well as Until Dawn. I am waiting for the Quarry to be the right price before I slap it into my backlog, so I'm not in any hurry to buy it right now. That is one I would like to get maybe after I do Dying Light, after I do Tiny Tina. Maybe around Halloween time when the next Dark Picture games is on the horizon. Maybe I'll get the Quarry and it and make a big thing out of it. But I digress. Supermassive Games has been purchased. So for those very keen on the news, you may recall that last year they had a large investment of about a third of their company consumed by Nordisk. Now, Nordisk isn't exactly a name that flies to the front of everyone's mind. But this is an important acquisition. Supermassive has been a very relevant and on the rise gaming company, and they have been bought. So I was actually kind of thinking, and Johnny, I think you and I had this conversation, that we had circled Supermassive as being a possible candidate for Sony to buy, especially with their success with Until Dawn on their platform and how they made it a PlayStation Plus exclusive. Like, it would have made a lot of sense and filled a hole within Sony's portfolio to have something like Supermassive under their wheelhouse. So
and I would argue that Until Dawn had that first party polish. It felt like,
and certainly the Quarry does now too. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean they look and feel like the real deal, genuine Sony title. I mean the quality level is very, very strong.
Yeah. And even the most recent Dark Pictures game, House of Ash, which that game is sick. Play that game. Anyways, so I figured, well, great, we're going to talk about this, but a lot of you out there probably know who Supermassive is because of all these games that they've made that have been pretty big hits of recent. But then you might not have any clue as to who Nordisk is. So Nordisk is an investment group that invests primarily in Nordic game studios. So currently they stable Avalanche, Flashbulb, Multiverse, Raw Fury, Retromoto, and Star Stable Entertainment. Now, not all those names probably mean much to folks, but two of them I think are fairly notable, and that's Avalanche and Mercury Steam.
Yep.
Who wasn't in my initial note there, so forgive me. They more recently purchased Mercury Steam. That was in 2020, and in 2018 they purchased Avalanche. Avalanche, of course, I think most people are familiar with the Just Cause series. Rage 2, which they did with id. That I feel like when that game came out, Rage 2, Johnny, you'll remember this well because you're a big fan of the Rage series, is it seemed like a lot of people didn't know that Avalanche made Rage 2. And folks were pointing to id as though they made it versus id, who really was just holding the license for Rage. And that game was kind of a step back for the series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they did Rage 2, Just Cause, the Hunter series, which I've seen a ton of. Generation Zero, and Second Extinction. So, really for me, just the first three Just Cause, The Hunter, and Rage 2 I'm familiar with.
Yeah, me too.
Mercury Steam, of course, is very relevant to this show, who's owned by Nordisk. And why is that? Well, because they made our game of the year last year.
They sure did.
Metroid Dread is made by Mercury Steam. They also made the game for the 3DS, the Metroid Samus Returns. And a game series that I remember very fondly back on the Xbox 360, Jericho, was made by them. And then I think one of your do I have this? And correct me if I'm wrong, but do I have this right? Didn't they make one of your favorite Castlevania series, or am I confusing with someone else?
I love the Lords of Shadow games. Yeah,
yeah. So they made all of that series.
Yeah,
Mercury Steam.
No, I love those games. They're the over the top nature of Bayonetta, where it's just like the monsters just keep getting bigger and the explosions just keep getting bigger. It kind of has that effect, but it still it strums those nostalgia heartstrings. So, yeah, if you're a Castlevania fan, the Lords of Shadow stuff is fun.
So what's interesting, one of the first things they said is that they're a Nordic company that invests in Nordic studios. Supermassive, of course, is a British game developer, so doesn't really fit that mold, does it? But yeah, so they've been making a lot of games for 2K, and now they're owned by Nordisk. So I would say that's a very good get for them indeed. And they are certainly a name that's on the rise, and maybe we'll see more from Nordisk in the future now that they've made what I would say 3 slam dunk acquisitions in a row. They're certainly going to be somebody that you need to be familiar with, hence us taking a little bit of time to briefly explain who they are. I think with Supermassive, the Dark Pictures anthology contract that they have, where they're putting out one each year, that is with Bandai Namco that they have that agreement. So this isn't going to be affecting that in any way, shape, or form. Should be a week before Halloween for the next 4 years. I think the contract runs. We'll get a Dark Pictures game from Supermassive. So kind of cool that they're doing that and then still releasing a higher quality game like the Quarry to the side. So
yeah,
they're on it. Whew, Johnny. Now that's off our plate, let's get to the main meat and potatoes this week. It's kind of been a weird news week until today. And today, a new interview came out from someone who used to be very prevalent in the industry that sort of, as he took on a new role, kind of went away a little bit. We weren't hearing from him as much as he took over the chief executive officer position with Unity Technologies. That person is, of course, John Riccitello. He is the former CEO of Electronic Arts. He's the guy that was there from 2007 to 2013, where he was the guy in the big 2008 mess that was there, but basically was the man in charge as EA became one of the most hated companies in the entire world.
Yep. No, when you said those dates, I was like, wow, that's when the EA's brand name and reputation was thrown into a dumpster and set on fire.
Hell in a handbasket. Yep. Yeah, that really was. That is, as they were taking the first steps to completely crushing BioWare into a mindless piece of shit. That was during this era. So, and introducing the overly aggressive microtransaction era of EA was certainly under his command. So it was kind of interesting to see John go from that position to Unity Technologies. Unity Technologies, of course, is the overlying company that created and owns the Unity engine. The Unity engine, so not as prevalent as other engines some of you may know of, like the, of course, Unreal Engine and the Um, the Red Engine that we've talked about a lot, and as it relates
Yeah.
to CD Projekt Red. But inarguably, some of the biggest games in the world are made in Unity. A lot of them are on mobile, like Pokemon Go, which is made in Unity. But some all-time classics like Hollow Knight, Cuphead, Ori and the Blind Forest, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, to name a few. There's plenty. So kind of my point is, it's a mixed bag of clients that use Unity, but certainly it's been a choice for indie developers who, Pokemon Go and Hollow Knight couldn't be two more different games, albeit running on the same engine. So the engine has good versatility, but that is to say that it can attract big corporate interests, but also attracts very successful interests from creatives. Again, having John Riccitello head a company that's known for good working relationships with creatives is a little ironic, but we haven't fully digressed yet. So, him being a businessman, he is of course, been in the news this week before he opened his mouth today. Kotaku did what he described as a bit of a hit piece on him. Unity laid off a ton of their workforce, and in very bad taste, that layoff was leaked to Kotaku the same week they announced they were making a huge acquisition to buy Iron Source. So they already had a little bit of mud on their face from his leadership this week, as people are questioning the ethics of the layoff combined with the acquisition of Iron Source. Now, I don't expect anyone to know who the fuck Iron Source is that's listening to the show right now. Certainly I had to do my homework coming in because I'm not big on the technology on mobile spaces. Just not something that interests me. But who Iron Source is, and this is kind of their own words, they are a leading in-app monetization and video advertising platform, making free-to-play and free-to-use possible for over, quote, 1.5 billion people around the world. Iron Source helps app developers take their apps to the next level, including the industry's largest in-app video network. So let's read between the lines. They make monetization possible in apps and advertising. So everything that we hate on your cell phone games is Iron Source.
Yay.
Do we see where this is going?
Yep.
So Unity, the company who makes a engine, has now acquired, after laying off a significant portion of their workforce and hiring EA's former CEO that almost ran the fucking thing into the ground, is now buying a monetization platform. And okay, I get it, business, whatever. So John Riccitello sits down with pocketgamer.biz this week to do an interview to clear the air, because there's a lot of bad press around him from that Kotaku article. There's a lot of bad press about, the fact that Unity is an engine that's really based around or known for great relationships with indie developers. And here comes this acquisition of Iron Source, which is all about the thing that everyone who is a creative fucking hates, which is monetization, microtransactions, advertisements, etc. So he sits down in this interview, and he's asked some fairly straightforward questions. Initially the question started off about Iron Source, that quote, and this is coming right from pocketgamer.biz, the people that facilitated the interview, so credit to them. But quote, the announcement is centered around transforming Unity into a combined growth engine with features such as embedding monetization indicators. What kind of developer feedback have you received that led to this direction? The follow-up question he's asked is, implementing monetization earlier in the process, in conversation, is certainly an angle that has seen pushback from some developers. To which here is what we're going to talk about. And here is John Riccitelli's response. Quote, Ferrari and some of the other high-end car manufacturers still use clay and carving knives. It's a very small portion of the gaming industry that works that way. And some of these people are my favorite people in the world to fight with. They're the most beautiful and pure, brilliant people. They're also some of the biggest fucking idiots. End quote. Johnny, I've talked for a while here. I'm going to say one thing before I turn it over to you, and that's a lot of car companies still use clay modeling. Like Mazda. Mazda doesn't make $300,000 cars. So I just like to point that one out there before we go any further. But by all means, I'm very curious to hear. I've kind of laid the groundwork of what's going on here. And that kind of, that quote, doesn't sound great. So what's your thoughts here, sir?
Well, it's a belittling of the artist. And let's face it, video game developers are artists. They create art. If those artists did not create the art that they create, then they would not have a product to sell. So we all know that the CD conversation in the back room of every video game publisher in the world is going, how do we get that microtransaction dollar? How do we get that advertising dollar? How do we get our clients to continue to spend money in order to play the game? And we've had this conversation countless times. The scary thing with this is that Unity is one of the most popular video game engines, if not the most popular. I mean, I feel like any mobile game I open, any PC game I open, there's like a 30-40% chance I'm going to be greeted with that Unity logo the second I fire it up. And the fact that Unity is going to make it easier and sort of nudge the developers in the direction of, oh, hey, by the way, this would be a really good place to, hey, you could do, here's this new feature we had that makes it easier to, put an advertising button to be able to get this item, or put an advertising button over here to skip the wait timer on this thing. Or, I mean, this is just, it's bad. It's real bad. And it's such a strange interview. I mean, if you sit down and you take the time to read the interview, it's like the interviewer walked in, placed a 6-round revolver on the table, and then Riccitello just picked up the gun, put a bullet in each foot, put a bullet in each knee, shot himself in the dick, and then blew his head off. It's like, you read the interview and you're like, what are you doing? Like, these are the conversations you have in the back room with the fogged glass that, the artists and the clients don't hear you saying the things that you said here. So it's not a good look. I mean, it's these are the things that we as video game consumers hate, not dislike, not don't prefer, hate. There's no one goes, I love this new mobile game that makes me watch this ad to get to the next thing. No one says that. Now, the other thing that I start to worry about, knowing that this piece of shit is running Unity, that brings my concern to, what is the entrance fee to using Unity, or what is their cut for using Unity? I genuinely don't know. If somebody wants to drop it in the comment and tell me how it works, I don't know. But my concern now becomes, if them purchasing, what is it, Iron Source?
Yeah, Iron Source
becomes such an integral part to the Unity engine, What if they start trying to cut out the middleman? Because let's face it, a lot of artists just want their art to be consumed, and they don't care how it gets there. So let's say you're looking at the licensing fees for Unity and you go, I really don't have that money. I really can't afford that. What if Unity starts giving you the option of, well, if you want, we can go ahead and incorporate our advertising plan and we'll get that advertising money, but you can use the engine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely.
That's what's going to happen next, to where it's not even the artist getting the damn money, and it's not even the artist doing the predatory shit. It's now the engine developer doing the predatory shit in a means to so that the artist can create their art and get it out to the people and use this engine. But now they're not even getting those advertising dollars. Those advertising dollars go straight to the engine developer. And man, this is some seedy shit. Well, and
here's what I want to say on this matter is that we have to make a distinction, okay? And visuals for those watching on YouTube. Okay, so I have two different devices in front of me right here. One is a Nintendo Switch, and the other is my cell phone. Okay, now these two devices really have the power to run most of the same software, right?
Yep.
The delivery system for this is purely digital. And this one I have multiple options. But where do I play better quality games as a gamer? If I'm somebody that's really passionate about playing games, I'm taking the Switch, right?
1,000%.
So Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, for that matter, all who have gaming consoles, are kind of in the fortunate position of the race to the bottom hasn't ended yet, but it's getting there, and it's moving quickly. So on cell phones, I mean, the quality didn't used to be there in terms of graphical fidelity. But if you can think back to when smartphones were new and you had gaming marketplaces, you had to pay money to buy the games to play on your phone, and they were typically pretty decent. But what happens is when you get into an economy of free to play, the quality of games that you're going to get is going to nosedive. We're seeing that slowly but faster and faster now with consoles. Games like Fortnite, games like Apex, where you're having higher quality but still free to play. But then there's a swath of garbage coming in behind it that's rather predatory. And this is more or less what already happened to the cell phone market. Is gaming there, which is mainly free to play, is pretty shit. And even the good games, there's basically an expectation that you're either going to sit and spend half of your time shitting watching ads, or you're going to have to pay money to actually play your game. And everything in the game is developed around that concept because it's a free-to-play game. And conceptually speaking, you're not going to say, well, once they get to $20, $30, $40, they're okay. They get a pass then. No, it's the same cycle every time that you pick up the game and play it. So the games that you get on a mobile platform where things are mostly free to play are perpetually worse. This takes that and picks up the ball and runs with it. So you have the gaming engine from which mobile games are made, combined with the advertising muscle that's used in them, now combined into the same package. So that's kind of neither here nor there with mobile, because once that Pandora's box is open of free to play, I think it's very hard to shut that box. And it's very hard to go back.
Well, and the scary part is for the new generation of gamers, specifically my kids on their Android tablets. I can't tell you how many times a day I look over and they're watching an ad.
It's stupid.
So they can get back into their game. So like one of the things I try to do to fight the free to play thing is I do subscribe to the Google Play Pass, which is nice because there's a lot of Android games that they're full dollar. They're not free to play titles. If they were free to play titles and they're on Play Pass, You're getting all of the content. You're never greeted with an ad. You're never greeted with a hey, give us more money. You're getting the full version of that game. So I always I pester them on it. But the fact of the matter is that the way this mobile gaming marketplace works, it works too well. They go to the YouTubers that have the most subscribers and they sponsor a video. Hey, you should play our game. And they make a 30-minute video of them playing this game. And then my kids pick up their tablets and search for that game and go, oh, it's free. I don't have to ask dad's permission. It's rated E for everyone, so I don't need to put in a password. I can play this game right now. And then it's just ad central. And they're just okay with it.
It's all they were ever built to be. So
I know.
Kind of looping all this back around and pinning it back on our original point here is the tone deafness put forward in this interview, and kind of some of my takeaways from that. So basically, and the outlash on Twitter is just almost hilarious.
I bet.
Some of the biggest games ever. Hollow Knight, that game is huge. Cuphead, that game is huge.
Yep.
Are they littered with microtransactions?
No.
But they made a lot of money. The guy that owns the product that they built their game on just called them fucking idiots in an interview.
Yeah, for not taking advantage of their customers. That's really what, if you had to boil his opinion down, he thinks that the video game developers who don't actively screw over their customers,
this guy's such a fucking scumbag,
are idiots. That's literally what he's saying. If you are not getting on your customers' back and taking them for a ride every time they touch your product, you're and I quote, fucking idiot.
Yeah, so the best-selling game of this year is, what game is that, Johnny? What's been the most successful game of 2022?
I don't know.
It's made by From Software.
Oh, right. Elden
Ring. Does Elden Ring have a microtransaction in it?
No, I hope at some point this gets wrangled in. I mean, honestly, my fear is
realize that people don't want this shit.
That's what scares me, though. Again, my kids don't give a fuck. They play the game, they watch the ad, they get back to playing the game. They don't care. My fear is, when I'm a grumpy old fucking grandfather, I'm going to say, back in my day, we used to buy a video game. That's what I worry about. It finally reaching a point where there's so much money in, okay, $5, $5. Oh, you've been leveling that character for the last 2 weeks and you just want to be done with it? $30. $30. Come on. Give me the money. I worry that becomes, and I mean, because in the mobile world, it is the status quo. But it just sucks. It really sucks.
Well, I know I'm bringing my dead horse out here again. But it's just this habitual march the consumer makes of giving up all of their rights as a consumer. And it's what they do. And then, the more you put money into the pot that says, hey, I'm cool, not actually owning my games. I'm cool taking that one step further and not even paying the licensing to use the game. I'd rather just pay in watching advertising. It's this constant march towards everyone having absolutely nothing and just being tied to advertisements. So, fortunately for me, I've got a large physical game collection, and I'm in my mid-30s, and so probably by the time everything falls apart, I'll be dead and won't care. But for the next generation that's coming, that hey, maybe the parents in our generation need to start voting more with their dollars. Maybe maybe don't spend $20 on that free-to-play game on their phone. Because it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you ownership of
No,
anything.
no, and speaking as a parent with 2 kids who game, I intentionally make it much easier for the boys to come to me with their piggy bank jar and go, I want to buy this game on the PlayStation. And I go, okay, let's go to GameStop and let's go buy it. I make that a much easier process than, can you buy me X on this video game on my tablet? I am. They know that that's going to be a fight. I'm not just going to do it, because I know if I open Pandora's box, they're going to be bringing me 4 quarters and be like, I need to buy this level up on whatever Balloons
So
6 or
stupid.
It's stupid. So I actively fight that, and I if they want to buy an actual product, if they want to go with me to GameStop and we'll go pick up whatever game they want, totally
if I
okay with it.
spend money on a thing, right? For that thing to have value, I have to be able to sell it to someone else.
Yep.
And so if you buy 200 magic dust for Unicorn Fart Simulator 3000,
you bought nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
It's they put a fake hurdle in front of you and said, that thing sucks, doesn't it? Doesn't that hurdle suck? You should give us some money so we take that hurdle away.
Here's my final point. Okay. Before we end this discussion and move on to Johnny's favorite segment of the week, is every time you spend money on a microtransaction for some useless nonsense that you didn't need in a video game, you are proving this man correct. Because if you're dumb enough, to use his own verbiage, and please forgive me, because I love you all, and I'm guilty of it too. So let me just talk about myself. If Mike Dawson is a big enough fucking idiot to spend money on a F1 Manager, F1 Clash it's now called, sorry, that's a mobile game I have. When I'm that dumbass that spends money on that game, I'm proving him right.
Yeah,
I'm 100% proving him right. And I don't have a leg to stand on in criticizing him. Because ultimately, the responsibility these companies have to their shareholders is to turn as much profit as humanly possible. That is their fiduciary responsibility. And if you don't know what that word means, please look it up. So he's right, in a sense. And that's the part of this conversation that sucks. And that's kind of the point, the bitter taste I want to leave in your mouth as we walk away from this conversation is as brash and shitty and empowered and entitled as John Riccitello sounds in this interview. He's right. If Mike Dawson, if Johnny Paulus, if you, the listener, is going to fork over money for arbitrary fucking nonsense, it's free money. They're not even having to make anything.
Yep.
So yeah, if there is a system in place for me to make free money, and we're not talking little money, we're talking billions of dollars. Apex Legends makes billions of dollars. Fortnite makes billions of dollars, more than anything on my shelf ever made. Then he's right. And he's won. And that's what you support when you spend money irresponsibly on shit that doesn't exist. So keep that in your mind as you move forward this week. And I'm sorry that it sucks to have to take that and own it, but I think we all kind of need to realize that, myself included. So it sucks, but as much of an asshole as John Riccitello is, man's got a point.
It's one of the most honest interviews I've ever read. I didn't like what I heard.
Fuck you, you people, you're stupid. And he's right. We are.
Yep.
On that note,
you fucking idiots.
Yeah, that's a clip for TikTok. Jesus Christ. I just gave you a slam dunker there. On that disappointing monologue, Johnny, it is time for your favorite and our final segment of the week. That segment is, of course, called Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It is time for One Up. My One Up this week is going to sound strange because it's been around forever now. And I've held it up several times here. But my One Up this week is really my Nintendo Switch. Not until recently have I really gotten into playing my Switch a lot, which maybe you noticed. But I'm playing a lot more things on my Switch. I've been a lot more engaged in looking at the different indie titles that come out on my Switch. And I'm embarrassingly late to the party. Like the stuff that comes out for the system that I don't see anywhere else, or maybe it's just the way that Nintendo markets some of these indie games, because they do a really good job with it, is fantastic. And I'm loving playing more of these games on the Switch. And some of them are just incredible bargains, like $1 or $2. And
yeah.
I mean, MotoGP is like $3 right now. What the fuck? That's like a full, like, real game. What's going on? So, I've been playing a lot more on my Switch. I am really into it, my dude. I'm really into it, not just on the physical side, which I almost have a full shelf of those tiny ass little Switch games, which is pretty impressive. But I've been buying a lot of stuff digitally for the Switch that you just straight up can't get physical. So, and that really helps support some of these smaller studios and stuff. So like Slipstream, that game's incredible, people. If you liked old Outrun games, go get it. It's so good. Yes, Your Grace. Obviously you can play it at other places, but it was really just like a perfect game to be able to pick up and take around with you. Fucking Sidocats. I loved it. It was great. So like
you and your Sidocats.
Don't fuck with Sidocats, man. The tum-tums will come for you. So no, my one up this week is most definitely the Nintendo Switch. I'm wearing my Legend of Zelda t-shirt in honor. Then maybe to say that, this has kind of quickly become my favorite console of this generation. So obviously the Nintendo stuff is unbeatable, but just like I'm a big indie game player, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. So really been enjoying the Nintendo Switch, and I think a lot of games I would choose to play on this device and from this ecosystem. Like even if I could play it on Game Pass, I think I might still rather just be able to play it on this unit. So Nintendo Switch, you finally sunk your claws into me. It took some time, but we're there. So good job, Nintendo.
I'm gonna piggyback onto yours before I get to my one up. I have a theory, and we've hit many theories right on the bullseye. I think Nintendo is going to announce and release a Switch Pro this year.
I don't know. I've kind of been paying attention to some of the things going on with Nintendo. They've licensed a new name. I don't think they can do what they've done as a mistake in the past, which is abandon the previous ecosystem. So I think whatever they make has got to use the same, like physical format, sort of thing.
Yep.
Whether it's called a Switch Pro or if it's just a beefed up new piece of hardware, something of the sort. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and I think you and I have both been saying for a while that perhaps that is what has been causing the delays to whatever Zelda thing has been in the works. So who knows?
Yep. Time will tell. And then my one up is Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. I've always been a Trekkie. I mean, I watched the original Star Trek when I was very young. I've seen every episode of the original Star Trek probably fucking 10 times. I stayed on top of Next Generation and watched every new episode every week with my family. I loved Star Trek Next Generation. DS9 was great. But if we're being honest, Star Trek's been pretty lackluster for, 20 years?
Yeah, it had a strong lull, I would say, after Voyager.
It had its moments. I mean, I enjoyed the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie quite a bit.
Yeah, the Khan one wasn't great.
The other two after that were both pretty forgettable. It wasn't that they were bad, they were just forgettable.
JJ's kind of got a record of coming out strong.
Yes, he does.
And then shitting the bed with two of the most iconic sci-fi franchises now.
So Star Trek Strange New Worlds is a new show on Paramount Plus. And I'm happy to report it's the best Star Trek thing that I've seen since Next Generation. And I'm pretty comfortable in saying that. When I saw the trailers for it, I got the impression that this was like a whole new crew, a whole new, like, we're gonna wipe the board clean and we're just gonna tell a Star Trek adventure completely disconnected from the main thing. But that's not what it is. Pike is the captain. So the guy who kind of took James T. Kirk under his wing in the Abram films, Pike is the captain. Uhura is a cadet, fresh in the Star Trek Federation, learning all the different aspects of the ship and how it works. And Spock is the science officer on the ship. And my favorite thing about the show is that it's everything Star Trek should be. It's very episodic. Every episode is, here's a new planet, here's a new race, here's what's going on, here's some heavy sci-fi cool shit. Okay, cool. We've wrapped that up. See you next week. And then the next week episode is, because like one of the things that I didn't like about Star Trek Discovery is it felt like Star Wars. It was a lot of big battles. It was a lot of like the Klingons and the Romulans and like, we're just retreading all of the same shit. And it wasn't episodic. It was cliffhanger into the next episode, cliffhanger into the next episode. And that's not what Star Trek is. Star Trek should be, here's a fun sci-fi concept. Let's explore it for an hour and see where we can go with it. Let's wrap it up in a nice, neat bow, and we'll see on the next episode. And the most recent episode I watched was they were done their big mission. The ship had gotten pretty fucked up, so they came back to the main Federation base. And some of my favorite episodes of Next Generation were episodes where the team was enjoying a little rest and relaxation. And this was that episode where everybody's like, this one's going on a date, and this one, his wife's been looking forward to him coming home, and he's screwing it all up. And there's this comedy thing going on, and it was a very light, fun episode, but it worked because you actually care about the characters. So if you've ever enjoyed Star Trek and you're just like, man, I wish, because I even tried watching Picard. Picard put me to sleep 3 episodes in. I couldn't get into it. But Strange New Worlds is really, really strong. And Paramount Plus is, I think, $5 a month. Pay the $5, binge it, cancel it if you want.
There's
I'm really enjoying it a lot.
Too with Amazon. If you do it through there, it's some deal. That's how I have it. I don't know.
But no, I'm happy to report that me and my wife are both in love with the show. We can't stop watching it. It's really, really good. It's good stuff.
Fantastic. Well, I think that wraps up the amount of words that we are going to spit into the ether this week. We will, again, be back next week with another great episode of the Power Gamer podcast for you to enjoy. Until then, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Paulus.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip.
Can't do it unless I say take care.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, man of habit. See you next week, guys.